It's Coast to Coast with Mike, your host. It's the YouTube show that helps you cash in most. His track record's phenom, his cashing rate is the bomb, and it's all brought to you by RacingDudes.com. And now, the host of your show, Mike Somich.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Coast to Coast for Thursday, June 21st, 2018. Before we get into the picks, we're going to look back at last weekend and talk a little bit about the key races and horses that came out of it. And also, we're going to switch it up a little bit with the actual picks. We're going to start betting a mythical $10. So if you want to follow along, by all means, just put in those $10 bets and see how we do. We're going to keep ourselves honest and look at it as well. But before we get into that, let's see what happened last weekend. They did what? So I'm excited to talk about last weekend. We had a horse who absolutely showed out in Oscar performance in the Grade 3 poker. Not only did he beat older horses for the first time in his career, but he also set a track record doing it. And it just makes me even more excited about that specific group now. So you've got these older males on turf that are absolutely loaded. I mean, we've got One Go All Go. We've got Beach Patrol. We've got Sadler's Joy. We've got Yoshida. We've got, you got to talk about Robert Bruce now and Spring Quality after that last race in Belmont Day. And now we can add Oscar Performance to that list as well. This group is shaping up to be one of the most exciting groups every single time out. I cannot wait for them to race against each other again. And I'm looking forward to Oscar Performance being added to that list. I was a little worried. This is the first time out as a 4-year-old, and it was his third time facing older horses, and the first two didn't do very well. So I'm glad to see that he really came out, performed well, broke the track record. Looking forward to seeing him at hopefully Saratoga here next. Second thing I want to make sure I talk about is the fact that no one wants to torch in the older male division on the dirt at the classic distance. It's been interesting. I mean, the last 3 or 4 years we've had kind of that horse, where at first it was California Chrome, he passed over to Arrogate passed to Gunrunner passed it to nobody. We're still waiting. We had West Coast, who was supposed to be the horse, didn't happen. City Lights, supposed to be the horse, didn't happen. Backyard Heaven and Stephen Foster was supposed to be the horse, didn't happen. Pavel, probably not the horse. Thunder Snow, probably not the horse. If we're being honest, the best older male now is probably Justify. I mean, he's got to be the one who's considered as the favorite for the Breeders' Cup Classic. And, unless someone really steps up, I'm not sure where that threat's going to come from. So it'll be interesting to see as the summer plays out who runs well at Saratoga, who runs well at Del Mar. We still got huge races coming up before then, and someone could come out of the woodwork. But right now, it's looking like it's Justify's Breeders' Cup Classic to lose. So that's what happened last weekend. Now we're going to move ahead, and we're going to go coast to coast. So Aaron, kick us off.
What is up, guys? I am glad to be back on another edition of Coast to Coast. I get to talk about a race I am pumped for, and you might think, why is he pumped for the second race at Prairie Meadows here on Thursday? It's because I have a horse in the race. I actually own a piece of number 6, Add a Kid. He's in the barn of Kelly Von Hemel, who is a great friend of mine. I'm lucky to call him a friend, and I own the horse with Pam Von Hemel, who is the wife of Kelly. So it's a family affair. Could not be more proud and happy to have a piece of this horse. Even though he is only a $7,500 claimer, doesn't matter. When you own a horse, there's no greater feeling in the world than watching them run, and there's no greater feeling in the world than watching them win. Check it out. Add a Kid. This was actually my first win as an owner. They were very awesome to print that for me. So even though I only own just a little bit of a piece of 3 horses actually in Kelly's barn, doesn't matter. It's still the same thrill. So let's talk about the race. Enough about me. Let's talk about Add a Kid, the 6 horse. He's a $7,500 claimer. 2 races back, he won a $15,000 claimer, and then he was 4th in a $15,000 claimer last time out. With claimers, they all have problems, right? And Add a Kid's problem, he's pretty slow, just to be honest. He is a slow horse. He does have some very good qualities, and the main quality that makes him a horse that you like to own is he can run all day. And going 1 mile and 70 yards, there's not a lot of horses at Prairie Meadows that really want to go that far. So that's his big advantage. He likes going long. He can run all day. He just doesn't run very fast all day. So the good news is he's in a race. We spotted him very logically. Kelly did a great job spotting him in this spot. So number 6, Add a Kid, is going to be my top pick. Of course, he's my horse. I'm not going to pick him on top. Are you crazy? Yeah, so Add a Kid, the 6th horse, is going to be my top pick. Now, he's a closer. Like I said, he's very slow. He's not going to be anywhere near the front. A lot of times, you think, okay, well, a closer, we need a hot pace up front, right? Not so much with Add a Kid. If the pace is hot and the horses go fast up front, he's going to be way behind, too far behind to ever catch up because he's very one pace. He's going to run the same race every single time. So we actually want the pace to be kind of slow so he's at least within range when we turn for home. So thankfully we've got that today. The pace doesn't look to be all that fast. So I think Atakid has got a great shot. I think he's going to sit 4 or 5 lengths off of the pace. Should be a good situation for him, and he might just be the fastest of this bunch because it's not a great bunch. The horse I am concerned about is number 2, Counting the Gold. Counting Gold has early speed, and if he kind of gets away from us early, it could be trouble. And also, kind of class dropper here, going from allowance to $7,500 claimers. That's a big class drop. So the 2 I am worried about. The 8 Jersey Red is who I picked third. Kenny Smith always has success at Prairie Meadows. This horse won at a mile last time out in a maiden claiming event. So at least, again, like I said, there's not a lot of horses at Prairie Meadows that like to go long. This horse has shown that he can, so that's kind of an important factor. And then the 5, Reverend Sam. Lynn Claybart does a great job. Alex Burrs are going to ride this horse. So Reverend Sam's got a shot at a price. He's 10-1 on the morning line. So that's my top 4. Atakid, the 6 on top with 2, 8, and 5 underneath. Thanks for letting me talk about this. This is a very special race. You may not care about Prairie Meadows at all, but you should, and you should definitely watch this race. Now, let's kick it over to my good buddy Curtis. He's going to talk about a horse that's pretty special to him as well.
Thanks, Aaron. Everybody, it's Magic. Great to be back on Coast to Coast. It's apparently Handicap Your Horse's race day here on Coast to Coast because I'm going to look at the 7th race at Santa Anita, where Moonless Sky, a horse that I own a very small part of, is entered in an optional claimer non-winners of 2 at a mile over the turf. Now, unlike my esteemed colleague in the great state of Missouri, I'm not going to be picking my horse to win. I love her to death, but there's a horse in here that I think is going to have a wonderful second half of 2018, and it starts here. Her name is Akira. She's breaking from the rail. Her trainer, John Sheriff, has her spotted perfectly. 4 back, she broke her maiden impressively over a mile on the Santa Anita turf. She then stretched out to a mile and 1/8 for her next 2 starts. Both of those races, she led until the final 16th, and she only lost by a neck. She also fought back gamely whenever a horse came up to her. Last out, she cut back to a mile, ended up wiring the field. Her final time was 1:34.1. That's important because no other horse in this field has won at a mile at a faster time except for Moonless Sky. The horse that beat Akira 3 back has won the stakes race. The horse that beat her 2 back went out and won 2 weeks ago. And the horse that Akira beat last out, she won this past Saturday. On top of all that, she's averaging one of the best speed figures in the entire field. She's the only real front runner in a field that's packed with closers. So if you're playing multiple race tickets, I think every angle is there to say that she's a strong single. Now, if you're anti-chalk, like Dan the Fan Man, watch out for the 5, Hachi. She has an 8-1 morning line. She's a Chilean-bred mare. She made her American debut here last month in these exact same conditions. She ran in second for most of the race before she was caught late, and she missed third by a nose. Now, it was her first race in 11 months. It was also her first race ever in America. Those 2 reasons, I think she was just a little short. She should be a lot fitter here. Now, beyond those 2, you're pretty much trying to pick which closers you think are going to have the best trips. I landed on the 8, Ambicelli, by a slim margin over the 6, Chicaboo, and the 7, my girl, Moonless Sky. All 3 of these horses are on their second starts off of a layoff, and all 3 have either won or placed in big stakes races. The deciding factor for me is jockey Ken DeSormo. He'd been aboard Moonless Sky for every single one of her 10 starts in SoCal, but when given the choice, he opted to ride Ambicelli, a horse that he's only ridden once. Now, our venerable host, Mike Somich, once told me, you gotta know when you're not the smartest person in the room. A Hall of Fame jockey chooses one horse over the other horse, you better pay attention. So in summary, you got $10, put $2 to win on the 1, then single the 1 over the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 8 in a $2 exacta. Good luck, everybody. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you very much, Magic. Aaron, I appreciate it. I cannot echo enough what those 2 guys said. It is a great thing to be a part of a partnership and own a piece of a racehorse. There's absolutely nothing like it when your horse turns for home. I was lucky enough in my first experience with Slam Dunk Racing to get to the winner's circle with Jacoby Jade, Delmar, in a stakes race. It was an absolute blast. I will never forget that day. It's absolutely amazing owning a racehorse. Make sure you get involved. Make sure you get the chance at some point. It's a lot less expensive than you think. Check it out, your local racetrack. I know there's a ton of good ones around there. Like I said, I'm part of Slam Dunk. Curtis is part of My Racehorse. Make sure you check these out. It's an awesome thing to experience. Thanks for watching Coast to Coast today, guys. Appreciate it. Check out racingdudes.com for anything you need from articles. We got the podcast coming out shortly to preview the weekend's races. And then, of course, we'll be back on Coast to Coast tomorrow. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching Coast to Coast, brought to you by racingdudes.com. I was your host, Mike Somich. You can follow me on Twitter at Samobomb18. And you can follow the Racing Dudes at racing_dudes. Head over to racingdudes.com for all the latest news, articles, free picks, and premium selections. Don't forget to check out the podcast, Blinkers Off, available twice a week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.